You hatch from an egg somewhere in Australia, deep inside an underground tunnel, and a worker ant picks you up before you can do anything on your own. You're blind, and your legs don't work yet, so she carries you through a narrow passage into a wider chamber where other larvae are already lined up along the wall. She sets you down and moves off to collect the next one, but on her way back, she drops the larva she's carrying and it rolls into a crack in the soil. She has to push her whole body into the gap to dig it out, and by the time she does, you've already been passed over for the first feeding. A worker arrives with a piece of chewed insect and moves straight to the larva beside you, pressing the food against its mouth. You push toward it, trying to get close enough to be noticed, but your body can barely move on its own and the effort does nothing. Then a second worker arrives, and this time she stops in front of you, pressing food into your mouth. You eat fast, pulling in as much as she'll give before she moves on. But the larva beside you is bigger, and when the next worker comes through, it pushes its body in front of yours and takes the portion meant for you. You try to push back, but it outweighs you and the worker doesn't wait. Everything down here runs on size and position, and right now you have neither. But larvae grow fast in this colony, and the gap between you and the bigger ones won't stay this wide for long. You're a few weeks old now, and for the first time you come out of the tunnel as a fully formed worker ant with working legs, working jaws, and a stinger you don't know how to use yet. The world above is so much bigger than the tunnels that you stop moving for a moment. With your antennae sweeping back and forth across the ground trying to make sense of it, a line of workers is already moving across the surface, each one carrying something back toward the entrance, so you fall in behind them because staying close to the line is the only thing that feels right. You follow for a while, keeping pace, but then a loose rock pushes out from the soil and cuts straight through the trail, scattering the scent markers the workers ahead of you were following. The line breaks apart, and you lose the path completely, so you move in a wide circle trying to pick it up again, but you go too far and end up on bare ground with nothing to follow. That's when a jumping spider drops down from a low plant and locks its eyes onto you. It lowers its body and creeps forward with its front legs lifting off the ground, and you have no way to know what it's going to do next, so you do the only thing your body knows to do. You rear up onto your back legs, open your jaws as wide as they go, and hold still. The spider stops. It watches you for a long moment, then turns and moves away into the grass. You find the trail again a few minutes later and follow it back to the entrance. But the territory around this nest is wide, and the things that cross it are not all as easy to push back. Skip forward a bit and you're a couple of months old now. You're out foraging alone when you find a beetle grub half buried in the soil, with its pale body curling slowly against the dirt. It's larger than anything you've tried to move before, but you need to get it back to the nest, so you sting it twice in the side until it stops moving, then clamp your jaws onto its back end and pull. It doesn't move. You pull harder, driving your back legs into the ground, but the grub barely shifts, so you release it and go back to the nest to get help. 2 workers follow you out, and the 3 of you take positions around the body, with each one gripping a different section, and together you drag it across the ground toward home. You're halfway back when a bull ant from the colony on the far side of the clearing cuts straight across your path and clamps onto the grub from the front. You pull back, and your 2 workers move in tight, all 3 of you holding your ground with your stingers ready. The rival ant is alone, and it knows it. It pulls hard once, then twice, trying to drag the grub sideways, but the 3 of you don't give any ground. After a long standoff, it releases and backs off into the grass. You drag the grub the rest of the way and drop it inside the tunnel entrance. That rival came from the colony to the east, and this is not the first time one of them has crossed into your path. The next time, there will be more of them. You're around 4 months old now, and the eastern colony has been pushing into your territory for days, with their workers crossing the boundary markers and picking up food that belongs to your nest. Then one morning, both colonies cross paths at the same time and neither side backs away. Workers from both colonies crash into each other across a wide stretch of open ground, with jaws locking onto legs and stingers driving into soft joints, and you're in the middle of it. A rival ant grabs your back leg and pulls, dragging your body sideways across the soil, and before you can spin around to bite back, a second one clamps onto your abdomen and stings you twice. One of your own colony mates bites through the second ant's leg joint and pulls it off you, and you twist around and drive your jaws into the neck of the first one, holding on until it goes still. The ground around you is covered in pulled apart bodies and torn limbs, and the fight goes on for a long time before the eastern colony starts pulling back. Your colony holds the line, pushing the last of the rivals past the boundary markers and into their own ground. You walk back across the clearing with a torn antenna and a long scrape along your side. The colony held today, and the eastern ants know where the line is now, but you've never seen the queen in all your time above ground, and everything you just fought for was to protect what she's building in the deep tunnels below. Skip forward a bit, and you're about 6 months old now. You're working near the nest entrance when a blue-tongued lizard moves out from behind a rock and starts making its way across the clearing toward the hole. It walks slowly, stopping every few steps to press its tongue to the ground, and the workers near the entrance scatter back inside as it gets close. You move toward it instead, climbing onto its foot and working your way up its leg before it notices you. By the time you reach its neck, it lowers its head and pushes its tongue into the entrance of the nest, and you drive your stinger into the soft skin at the base of its tongue. The lizard pulls back fast, with its head jerking up and its tongue snapping into its mouth, and that's when the rest of the workers come pouring out of the entrance. They cover its feet, its legs, and the underside of its jaw, with each one stinging as fast as it can. And the lizard starts thrashing, knocking 3 workers away with one swing of its tail. But the stings keep coming, and it starts moving backward, stepping away from the entrance with its body low to the ground. You follow it all the way to the edge of the territory before it picks up speed and disappears into the grass. You walk back to the nest and go straight inside. The lizard won't come back to this entrance, but something else has been circling the outer edge of the territory for the last 2 days, and it's much bigger than a lizard. You're around 8 months old now. Heavy rain has been falling for hours, and water starts pouring down through the tunnel walls, filling the lower chambers faster than the workers can move the larvae out. The colony pushes upward toward the surface, with workers carrying eggs and larvae in their jaws and passing them up through the tunnel in a long chain. You get out just before the entrance floods and join the group gathering on a raised root above the waterline. But the rain keeps coming, and the root goes under too, so the workers form a raft, gripping each other's legs and bodies in a tight, locked mass with the larvae held in the middle, away from the water. You end up on the outer edge, and the current keeps pulling at your body with every surge of water across the ground. The raft stays together for a long time, but then it catches on a broken branch and splits in 2. Your half drifts with the current, spinning slowly, until it catches on a rock near a dry patch of raised soil. You climb onto the rock first, and start pulling others up after you. Then the workers carrying larvae follow, and you spend a long time getting everyone onto the dry ground before you start laying a scent trail back in the direction of the old nest. The colony is smaller now, and several of the larvae didn't make it. The eastern colony didn't flood. Their numbers are the same, yours aren't, and they will have already sent scouts to find out what the rain left behind. Skip forward and you're almost a year old now. A warm afternoon brings something different to the surface. Workers start gathering around the entrance in large numbers, and then the first winged ant pushes out through the hole, with its wings unfolding as it reaches open air. Then more come, dozens of them, males and young queens crawling out of the nest and climbing the nearest tall stems before launching into the air. You and a group of other workers move into a ring around the entrance, facing outward with your jaws open, because while the winged ones are launching, the nest is open, and anything could move toward it. A kookaburra lands on a low branch above you and drops straight down, snatching a winged male out of the air with its beak before landing back on the branch to beat it against the bark. It drops down again and takes another, then a young queen, and you run toward it with 6 other workers driving your stingers into its feet. It lifts off and lands further away, then drops down one more time and takes a second queen before flying off into the trees. The remaining queens keep climbing and launching, rising above the grass and disappearing between the branches. The nest entrance goes quiet, and the workers around you start moving back inside. You stay at the entrance a little longer, watching the sky. Each one of those queens carries everything the colony has ever built, and whether any of them land safely and start something new is completely beyond anything you can do for them. You're just over a year old now. You're working near the entrance when the ground above the main tunnel starts to break apart, with large claws driving through the soil and sending chunks of dirt rolling down toward the lower chambers. It's an echidna, pushing its snout along the surface and tearing through the top layer of the nest with fast, steady strokes. Workers pour out of the entrance and cover its legs, driving stingers into the skin between its spines. But the stings slow it down for only a moment before it keeps digging. You climb up onto its snout and drive your stinger into the soft skin inside its nostril, and it snorts hard, pulling its head back and shaking it from side to side. Then it pushes back down and keeps going. A wide section of tunnel collapses under the weight of its front claw, and the ground opens up beneath you. You drop with the soil, tumbling down into the broken tunnel as the walls cave in around you. The weight of the earth presses in from every side and your legs stop moving. Above you, the echidna works through the exposed chambers, pulling out larvae one at a time. Then it moves on. The soil above you settles and goes still.